Welcome, party people, to the great podcast of us. You're welcome.
2023.
Just an FYI, in case you were dying to know, we have decided to change our release date from Wednesdays to now we're going to start releasing on Mondays because we found out we procrastinate recording these podcasts. And it's kind of difficult when you're recording them on a Tuesday night and then he tries to edit them. And then I can't make my little videos because then I don't get them till, ever.
Tuesday at 2 o'clock.
And I'm asleep.
Yeah.
So we're going to allow us to procrastinate on the weekends when we have a full day of procrastination.
Yeah,
Because
I'm
that's
working.
a luxury.
It's hard to get stuff done during the work week. I mean,
Yeah. And this boy thinks we're going to start going to movies this summer.
Yeah.
He literally has
summer.
one. He has one movie he wants to go see, and then he wants to go see Barbie, apparently.
But see,
But I don't want to go see Barbie. I think it looks terrible.
but it's not a Marvel movie, and that's what we're looking for.
That is true. But I want to go see a good movie if I'm going to go see a movie. Because what's the point in...
Not enjoying it.
Yeah.
So, but you have a big weekend planned. You're
I do.
off with your family, headed to Denver, not going to the
The
playoffs.
CO.
Yeah.
Yeah, not going to go see the Nugs. I did look at tickets.
Are they pretty expensive? I don't-
They're the minimum is $650 or $700.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, I'm going to have to pass.
Okay.
Tempting.
That's really, really tough choice.
Tempting, but no.
Now, I've never been to an NBA game, so
But we are having my sister's bridal shower. Holly, you're a chicken. And I was talking to my mom about it this weekend because I didn't really realize it was this close until you pointed that out this weekend. And I was like, oh, shoot, I kind of put that at the bottom of my list because I was like, I've got so much time. And then it's here.
it did come up really quick. I think everything just kind of in this plan, but very quick. It's going to be a lot of fun. You did an incredible job planning it. I assisted greatly.
What on God's earth did you assist with?
I listened to all the ideas.
Oh, so you were the listener?
You know,
You were the sounding board? Isn't
yeah,
that what it's
pretty
called?
much. I just, I've listened to a lot of phone calls, so I'm pretty well versed on this wedding plan.
We're having the bridal shower.
I mean, all of it,
You just know it all.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it made me think, and it's a conversation we have kind of regularly about the idea of marriage advice. Especially when people give unsolicited advice, and it just drives me nuts because it's always the same thing and it's usually not helpful. And you just have to smile and wave. And I'm sometimes not good at smiling and waving and not showing in my face that I do not give a flying crap what you're telling me because I think it's really dumb. But
And then just to talk, we're talking people that we've met literally 3 minutes into
and they're
it, and
you're
just,
newlyweds?
Oh, yeah.
Well, here's some advice. And I just am like, what? Do you do this anytime you've been married less than a year? You've been married 2 years? Let me tell you. Let me give you some
either.
ideas. And it's just wow. You're telling me I need to talk to him? Novel. Truly novel. I would have never thought that if I'm having an issue with you, I should talk to you about it. I was thinking I should go gossip to Lord knows everyone about it. Who would have guessed? And we also get the be on the same team. Personal favorite.
That one's really funny.
It's don't fight against each other. Fight
With
each other. Love that one.
Yeah.
And there are some of them I don't fully agree with, the don't go to bed angry. Because I need to go to bed angry. Because if I have to air out all my dirty laundry when I'm tired, it just gets really gnarly, and it's just like something that actually didn't bother me, I've decided is now like the worst thing ever.
I think yeah, we've definitely done that over the past like year. Is like we'll sleep on it, and then like in the morning,
We'll bring
like
it up.
you've like woken me up. It was like, hey, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was like maybe a little extra.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I'm one that I need processing time because I want to figure out if it's a actual us problem or if it's just like a me problem because I'm tired or stressed or hungry or something. Because why have a long argument about something that actually I'm not really upset about? It's literally something else was affecting me, and I've decided that that's the hill I want to die on. Is like, oh my gosh. I mean, we could use this weekend for an example. Like, I was feeling stressed about some external things, and you have previously told me you'd wake up early. And I tried to get you up, and I didn't tell you like that I wanted to go get a donut, but I wanted to go get a donut because I really love a chocolate cake glazed donut. And we have a new donut shop that opened, and we tried to go on Friday,
it was just
but the
packed.
line was so long and I hate waiting, so we did not
Yeah.
stay.
So like with that, I mean, I think you were like slightly upset at me, and I just assumed, which that's maybe a lack of communication. Should have done, but I was like, oh, she's mad at me. I didn't wake up, but then I was also like kind of upset. I was like, well, we didn't have any plans in the morning, so like
Why can't I sleep
I
in?
was like, yeah, like I can like totally. I'll get out of bed. We could have gone, but
Yeah,
we didn't have plans, so like I slept till like what 8:30, 8:45.
till like 9. But
We
he
ground
has this
down.
thing where he's promised me he's gonna get up early one day a week.
Yeah,
But it hasn't quite happened yet.
yeah, I'm not very good at it. Uh, but see, I get on these things like late at night, where like last night I had this big breakthrough, my my Python coding, and I had to stick with it. And then of course you gotta take that decompression time. You gotta check Twitter, and then there was a couple of YouTube videos that I wanted to watch. My subscription put out, so
What are these very urgent videos we needed to watch at whatever time last night?
I would prefer not to say.
Wow, that makes it sound really sus.
No, they were like you know, snake videos.
So that's what we had to wait. What time did you go to bed last night?
Probably like 1 a.m.
So yeah, this is our ongoing thing
Yeah.
because I just want him to one day. It's like my life goal is that he's gonna wake up and bring me coffee while I'm in bed. But the problem is I also wake up before 6 every morning. It's like it's super unrealistic.
I could do it. I would actually just have to stay up all
I
night
know, that's what you always
and
tell me, and that's just but then it would be like a terrible day. But
be a good night though.
but on Sunday, the problem was I was really just feeling super anxious. And I was just like having trouble decompressing and calming myself down. And usually I have some techniques that I can like get myself to calm down unless there's too many things. Once it comes too big, I can't like shrink it down by myself. If that might make no sense, but like that's how I feel. And I just wanted you to ask me like, hey, like help me solve the mountain, like climb the mountain together and then go get a donut. That's what I needed, and you didn't ask the question, and so then I was just mad because you didn't ask the question.
Well, I mean, just kind of like our communication style is just like if like something's bothering you or something's bothering me, like we'll take like a little bit to, I call it decompress,
Uh-huh.
but we'll just kind of do our own thing.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just like, because if we're doing something together, but we're like not talking to each other, it's like not a great experience. So like
Yeah.
just kind of avoid it. But I guess now, I mean, maybe advice I would give is like, and I think you've done it before where you've been like, hey, like I'm upset at you because you did X. We can talk about it later. Like,
Yeah.
let's take 4 or
But
5
like
hours.
I need to
Yeah.
not talk about it right now. 'Cause
But
I
then
don't
like,
know.
you know, I could have just asked too. I was like, hey, why are you upset right now? And then we would still wouldn't have to talk about it. So like, I will probably do that next time. Learning on the job.
Learning on the job.
Yeah.
But that kind of leads me in to this talk combo I was having with my mom, because there's all these bridal shower games you can play, and I find them a lot to be cringy, and I just don't like the cringy games. Like the one where you have the rings, and they also do it for a baby shower where you have like the pacifiers and you can't say whatever word. I don't like that game. Don't love it. Or like draw the dress. Like, why does that matter? But my mom brought up the idea of like advice, and I was like, no, that's terrible, Mom, because everyone just has to give the same advice. Like, communicate, love each other, da 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 da. Like, all right, thanks so much. And she was like, I think people can give good advice. You just have to give them a little time to think. And I was like, but I think it's so much depends on the person and the season they're in that it's hard to give just like a one-liner piece of advice and it to just really hit home to that person. Unless you know that person super well and what in like the season they're in right now and the advice that they need in that season in time. And my mom asked me what the advice I would give would be. And I was like, well, it's just the advice that I need for myself right now. And it's just like not forcing expectations onto Trent and James. Like, just because I want to do something does not mean I need Trent to also do it. Like, just because I enjoy something does not mean I also have to tell you to, like, no, we have to run every morning together.
Yeah, we have discovered, or at least I discovered recently, that our training plans for our running race are very different.
I plead the fifth.
Uh,
It's really hard for me to plead the fifth, but I'm trying to plead the fifth.
Apparently, my training regimen may not have been as intense as I needed it to be. So we might increase it a little bit, but I'm not going to get there.
I plead the fifth. It's really hard for me, as I said, to plead the fifth, but I will remain silent because anything you can
Yeah,
you do
it will be
held
said
against
used
you
as a flotation device.
as a flotation device.
If you watched movies,
Is that Jump Street? 21 Jump Street?
it's actually from The Other Guys.
I don't know what that
It is
is.
a Mark Wahlberg, Will Ferrell movie.
The Other Guys.
Okay, so you're not a big fan of the advice.
No,
Obviously.
and I also think it's important that you trust the person in whatever aspect they're giving advice on. Like, if I think someone has a terrible marriage and they're just going to give me some unsolicited marriage advice,
You don't need to listen to it.
I'm just going to be like, wow, that just is working so well for you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Now, well, I know there's things that you can do to be a good advice giver.
What are those things?
Well, like, I don't know, I was going to ask you, but like, I think there's things you can do to give better advice to people.
Oh, I agree.
Like,
I mean, I think you've got to be...
So it's from like approaching the problem of like, don't give really bad advice or like cliche stuff, but like do these things, like maybe only talk about stuff that you have an idea about.
Yeah, and
Like
I think some people don't actually do enough self like
reflection
reflection to be able to give advice because they're always playing one step behind. Does that make
or
sense?
yeah.
So they're never like trying to like look and understand what they're learning. They're just trying to survive the next step. And so it's hard to get advice from someone who doesn't know what they're learning. And I think that's when you typically get some cliche advice because people are like, well, I heard this line once. I once heard that you should be on the same team when you're married.
That's the best one.
Okay. Thank you.
That's
Or forgive. Or some advice that they give, and I'm just like, I think that's bad. Like, did you even think about when you got that advice? Did you even like internalize it, or do you just were like, this is what I got for you?
you just say what's like repeated to you.
Yeah.
But by far the worst is like, don't go to bed angry.
Yeah, I just
like,
don't agree
like
with
we
that.
talked about, but uh, so I mean, like with that, but I just think you don't have to like unless it's like asked of you, because if someone's asking you for advice, I think they are being like more vulnerable, like they do trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And then like you have that like communication channel that like there's like a trust connection, and like that's difficult for people to do.
And a deep understanding of each other,
Yeah.
too, you know?
And so like they have to come to you for advice, and as your job as someone like giving that advice is to not talk about it to like
The world.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think y- seeking it out is more valuable than just like getting it because you're better attuned to be able to like listen and really take it in.
You're prepared to listen to.
Yeah.
Like I mean, and then the person that you're asking is like, oh, this person's like really wants to
Where
know.
if
Like,
someone doesn't want to have advice
they throw it out like not
and you
important.
give them your like lovely advice, I think typically when that's happened to me is I'm just building up an argument of like why I think your advice is dumb or just like random other things that like this is really dumb, why are we having this conversation? Instead of actually like taking in, which is that the healthiest way to appreciate someone's.
But that's probably like I know
Yeah.
I am not very receptive most of the time unless like I want to be, which is probably not great. I mean, I should probably be
Thankful for the advice or something.
Yeah.
But it's just like, no, I want to figure it out. But like, in a marriage context, my mom is typically, or my dad are the people that I typically go to because I trust their relationship. And so I'll go to them and I'll be like, hey, I hate doing the dishes and there's always dishes. Like, why is this causing such a big issue? And it's like such a seasonal thing that they've been through that season and I can trust them and I'm willing to listen to it. Or reading a book. Like,
I'm going to interrupt you.
okay, you do
Here.
not have to say
Okay.
that.
Well, I'm just this seasonal thing has been every season. Like it is just it's
What, the dishes?
nonstop. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is a
that's
constantly
your
seasonal thing.
your biggest mountain to climb. That's your Everest.
When I make a lot of money, we'll have a dish cleaner.
Just completely just off
And
the
a
thing.
chef.
You used to not hate it, and then we went probably like 8 months with like a broken dishwasher at our least favorite apartment.
I disagree.
Oh,
This
okay.
is the catalyst started when you got really into cooking.
And bread making, I think especially.
And I do good when like I can just do a little bit of dishes at a time to where like I'm constantly doing dishes, but there's not like a mountain of dishes.
Yeah.
But I get easily overwhelmed when all 8 bajillion, like every dish in the entire world is in our sink. And I'm like, how did we get here? Like, and I struggle like finding a way to like, oh my gosh, this is just so many dishes. How did we even, who used all these dishes? Like, I used the same plate for 2 of my meals today. Like, what?
Yeah.
That's where I start to struggle.
I think like part of it is like if you're like working with like raw food and stuff, I'm like really, I guess, paranoid about like, oh, this touched like
Well,
the chicken, so we have to have 2 tongs.
and I think we cook differently too, because I will use as few dishes as possible, and I like to pick up as I go. You're complete the mission, and then the next mission is to clean the dishes.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
they are 2 separate things instead of like a continuum. And so your second mission is just like a stressor for me.
Yeah, and then usually I'm tired from the first one. I need that.
Exactly.
That
And then
BP to come
it
in.
just waits till the next day, and then I just like more dishes come, and I'm just like I'm stressed.
Okay, so our weekly complaint about our dishwasher
Yeah.
is now when we have a house, I have a plan. I guess I'm not finished with our tangent. We're gonna have 2 dishwashers, just back to back,
How is
just
that?
double it
It's
up.
still because you still have to do them after you
Well,
cook.
you have less buildup. You can even get those covers that match the cabinet, so then people just are
Don't
like,
know it's a
oh, they don't have a
dishwasher.
dishwasher.
But I'm just how are we gonna get to step 1 of the dishes get in the dishwasher?
It's a good question. Not
Yeah.
there yet. But back to kind of our main motif of
That's not the dishes.
yes. I think like probably our biggest takeaway from our conversations is to how you worded it as like having like a team or
Like a board of directors or trusted advisors they're people who you trust, who you know, and who know you, who can give you like pointed advice to your season. I don't think you should just try to go throughout life with never having advice. Like, I think there are times where, like, I'm in this season and I think a lot of things, there's nothing that's not been done before. There's not a season that someone else hasn't gone through. Someone else has had a season in marriage where their husband is so generous and cooks all of their meals, but also doesn't do the dishes as probably should be expected. There's dishes afterwards.
yeah.
And so like someone else has gone through that season and just finding the advice for that season.
Yeah. And then just being willing to have like a conversation. Like you don't even have to listen to it, but if you just hear someone's opinion, because it's kind of nice to like listen to someone like talk through like, oh, I would do this, or have you thought about this, and then you almost get to like strengthen your position of like what you think is like right or wrong thing to do. Now obviously there's some situations like maybe like this is like not in like a marriage context, but more like financial or like a job thing. Oh, that's like another thing. Did your job like previously were like, oh, this is gonna be your like mentor kind of thing? I know some places do that, and then like they talk it up, hype it up, and then you like never talk to that person. But they're like supposed to help you on your like career path.
Yeah, I mean, my team's like kind of small, so
I was thinking more in your like previous position at
oh,
Textron, but
to be honest, that just felt like chaos the entire time.
okay.
I don't
Well,
think
they
had
may
enough
not have had
people.
like the
I don't think they had the
blue chip
structural. Yeah.
structure, but
But it is popular where you have like the person that you go to that's like your mentor.
Yeah.
Help you learn the ropes, as they say.
But okay, so your kind of like biggest takeaway or your advice about advice is
My advice about advice. Am I supposed to say that?
yes.
I would say that something that I think is just having the people that you trust and being willing to ask them for advice. And I think everyone does. If you don't have those people, you should have those people. But putting yourself in a position to listen to them and apply that to your season. And I also think that also requires you to do some self-reflection on like, okay, what am I struggling with in this season? Why am I struggling? What's the advice I need? How can I apply it? Because advice is great, but if you're never going to try and change, then
What's the point?
yeah, then why even ask? You know? So you have to be willing to put it into action. And so advice is all fun and games, which is why I think you have to first be willing to listen, because advice is only good
If
you're willing to listen and then willing to put it into action.
I think that's good. I'll be writing that down at the bridal shower.
You're not invited.
Okay, sorry. Is there like a men's version of a bridal shower?
Well, they sometimes have a wedding shower,
A wedding shower.
but that's for like the girl and the guy, the groom and the
That's
bride,
not
I
as
guess.
fun.
But they're not having one of those, so you're not invited.
I think the groom needs
But
his own
you
special
can-
time.
Have the night before the wedding do a advice bucket for David.
Okay.
I'm sure he would greatly appreciate your advice that you'll give him.
I think you would.
Make sure to play games every day. I'm just messing with you.
Hang out with your brother-in-law often. Call
Yeah.
often.
Taco nights on Tuesday once we're in Colorado. Margaritas. No, we should probably change that to Fridays if we're having margs.
We could start it on Wednesday and then get tired and eventually move it to Monday. But my biggest takeaway, it's a very important role to be an advice giver. If someone comes to you, like, you have a very important responsibility. So, you just gotta fill that role as best as you can. And if you can't, don't give advice.
Don't give advice. Well, thank you all for joining us today. And next week, you're going to hear us on Monday, or you can listen to it on Wednesday, or you can just not listen to it. That's really up to you. And Holly would also like to tell you bye if you cannot hear her.
Everyone have a great week.
Bye.